I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
Cruising the whip, pimpin' fun times. Masked up, supersizing a verbal drive-by. Speed dialing hair club from me. Wondering if I snatch a wig if they'll buy it again. But this is bigger than lead press on hair, or hours spent sending emails no one reads because they don't care. Or the summary of your life goals. Lit, broken dreams and pockets filled with holes. Remember you begged saying you were a fan, like on the daily how you pretend to be a man. All because you didn't get your way. Screaming I'll sue because no one listened to what you say. Honestly, that's pathetic, and maybe I would have been a tad sympathetic. But you had to make this personal, hoping for a sudden career or life reversal. Not knowing that all of the money in the world can't project the one thing you'll never have, and that's a modicum of respect. And apparently some folks haven't heard that targeting kids is a useless lawsuit, so written words. That's an invitation to the wrecking ball. And like Pokemon, baby, you're gonna catch it all. And you're gonna catch them all. Yeah, you're gonna catch them all. And sure, you'll drop some lines and pretend that they slap, but listening to you is like catching the E version of the clap. And we aren't talking applause, we're talking penicillin. Pretending someone other than life is your arch villain. But keeping blaming your problems on the Hales, and pretending that your tears will erase your fails. Likely trying to boost your self-esteem by weaponizing an army of never was for your next live stream. Now go chase your ambulance, cause I'm out.
Alright, what's up, folks? How is it going? Welcome to a Sunday edition. Man, things have been pretty wild over the last few days. I mean, we've been talking about... we've been talking about John Cook not having charges go forward, despite the fact that, well, you have somebody that has definitely been asking for that. We actually have heard statement from the person themselves. It's fascinating, too, after all this comes up. Apparently, there's certain hate channels out there that have been crying about how they're doxing. Now, these people dox, man. They're nasty people. And then they cry, and they're like, I'm doing it because they did it. No, nobody did that to you, losers. The only thing that has ever treated these folks badly is life. It's not my fault. Don't blame me because life has not gone the way you planned. I mean, seriously, man. Sunday. So yeah, I wanted to show you something today. After yesterday, by the way, if you didn't watch yesterday's live stream with Megan, we did that on her channel. If you did not tune into that, boy, you missed some good stuff. And some crazy stuff, too. I mean, we're talking about a lot getting exposed. See, what happened, if you've missed out on the insanity for some reason with John Cook, and it has been some peak insanity. We had people that were not from Otter Creek reportedly have a gun pulled on them. And yet, after you have that, you have the police say that they lied about it and they hid the gun and they denied that they had it and more. And you had one person come forward and say that they themselves, they wanted charges pressed. Didn't matter. They wouldn't go forward. You also apparently, so let me pull this up here too. So as far as the other litigation, the inappropriate touch, yeah, apparently now I'm actually not surprised that went forward. Didn't go forward. Just because the way Otter Creek is, apparently they would make you come back and testify about it. That sounds like the way that would go, and yeah, I'm not actually surprised if that's the case. I do have questions about that, though. Let's see. You know, I know there have been a lot of live streams from other channels that have talked about this stuff, and the way I understand it, and they correct, because if I'm wrong, there had been contact between people that would be witnesses in that, and the guy that is the accused lawyer. Now, if he's going out and making contact with these folks, isn't that a tad, what do we call that? Illegal. Wouldn't that be totally inappropriate? Beyond so. You would think so, right? But yeah, on that too, let's pull this up. So, as far as, let me pull this up here. So as far as that case is noting, here we are. Give me one second. I'm pulling up the document on that. As far as that is noted here, you can see, well, it's gone in, you know, you've had the report, prosecution or phase, action, dropped or abandoned. So the case set to close. So, yet again, something else doesn't matter, right? Because in Levy County, you can do any fucking thing you want, apparently. It's like fucking living in Mad Max world. Holy God, man. Unless you were Jeremy Hales, then you'd probably go to prison. But anybody else, I mean, pulling pow-pows on people, inappropriate touch, 3 witnesses. Nope, nothing to charge on, right? And there were some very serious allegations in there. In both of them, there wasn't just the allegation of what happened, but there was the admission in one of hiding the proof. And in the other, yeah, telling people that they shouldn't go forward with filing that. That's why it waited a month. Strange, isn't it? Strange how anything that people want to do, apparently, in Levy County, that is A-okay. It's just crazy. Now, one of the things that we've gotten with all of this madness, by the way, so we went over, like I said, last night with Megan. We actually had there was a good interview. Very good interview, I'd say. Megan actually had recorded the whole thing. You know, there, like she said in that, there were minor edits, and the minor edits were for protecting the identity of the person. You know, she was trying to make sure that her name and other stuff was not put out there. Although she was told, you know, if you go forward with this, I'm sure that the people that are out there, the hate channels that are out there, yeah, they'll probably take aim. And she was like, okay. She understood that. She actually did understand that. So let's check this out, though, together. So here, one second. I'm going to make sure I've got this locked in correctly. I see it twice. Why do I see it twice? I'm trying to figure out one thing. Give me a second. I see 2 screens with the, okay, here we are. Professional channel, man. I was like, why am I seeing double of this? This shouldn't be this way. So her witness statement that she gave to the police, actually, here we are. This is what it was. So if there's any doubt whatsoever about what transpired here, you can actually see that lay out. Oh, it's crazy stuff, too. It's absolutely crazy stuff. So she said, this is her witness voluntary statement. On 07/03/2024, at approximately 4 p.m., Wes Dockery, his daughter, and I, so you can tell this is her talking. This is Patty. We're not Patty, no other name on, redacted and everything. Again, if these people bring that up, that'll be really fucked up considering they'd be going after witnesses. But they were talking about, they talked about lawsuits toward these people. Good luck with that. And also, just to make this clear, too, like we noted yesterday. Actually, let me show you this first before I go forward with this. I want to show you this just to put it on record, and then we'll read this together because I want you to see this first. So the person that threatens to sue every single one of us told Megan the following. So check this out here. The one that says, don't talk about my clients or anything else or I'll sue you. Yeah, hey, did you hear Mr. Cook's charges were dropped? Tyra's complaint too. Looking forward to your coverage. So, the guy that's like, I'm going to sue you for everything. Isn't it fascinating that he's telling people to cover? Yet again, these will play really good in a courtroom if he ever decides to go that route. Hey, wait a minute. Didn't you tell us all to cover this? Because that's the way I understand. Looking forward to your coverage. It's an invitation for coverage. But then again, this is the same guy that thinks that getting called an ambulance chaser, that's somehow going to be defamation. If I think someone is a piece of shit, I can say that. Yeah. If I think they're a sleazy lawyer that ambulance chases, I can say that. I can say whatever I want to say like that. Now, if they want to throw a piss fit and be like, oh, sue you over that, I guess that's their prerogative. But good luck with that one, Good luck with that one. The clown car, right? But I wanted to add this to the beginning just to make sure that you understand that this isn't just coverage. This was an invitation to coverage. It was like, hey, why don't you go out and be invited to the party? So, of course. Now, they've been celebrating the fact that that a female went out and tells you that she is deathly afraid of a man because he pulled a firearm on them. And they've been celebrating because a 18-year-old girl who noted that she was inappropriately touched with multiple witnesses. For some reason, maybe they can explain that. Maybe the same source that said the GoFundMe, that was allegedly put up by them, maybe when they were contacted. I wonder what kind of contact we've had going forward. Again, and I know that there's been fucked up contact because somebody sent me pictures of it. When you think that was weird, somebody goes in and they file something, and then even though there's a filing that mentions a person in that, telling them not to go forward, there's still all this contact. Again, that seems very inappropriate to me. But again, what do I know, right? What do I know? They can clarify that if they want. But this lady here, like I said, she says, 07/03/2024, 3 people are visiting today. They pull over with the driver's side door beside the guest book red mailbox. It was raining, so Wes came back to the vehicle to sign it. This is just how this story goes. 100% lines up there. 100% if you look at it. Him and the kid there, they looked around and took some photos and video. We drove down to a cell phone tower for a good spot to turn around and get back to the main road. Wes drove back by Tubetown slowly for the kid to get one more look. As we passed by, we heard a man yell across the street. Now, Wes stopped and rolled his window down and asked the man what he said. And like she said in her follow-ups, she thought that this guy, there was some problem here. Like the guy needed something. So they stop. Again, if somebody's yelling at you, you're on a small back road, like who knows? Who knows? Maybe they're in distress. Who knows? So they slow down to find out what's there. But when they roll down their window, the man yells again, "Do whatever you want." And Wes, he replies, we're just tourists from Illinois. Now, the man repeated, and it's interesting because this is repeated by everyone involved so far. He said, "Do whatever you want, you're going to lose anyway." Now, after saying that, he said, "But at this time, he crouched by a tree and pointed a weapon at them." Now, he admits to drawing a firearm. I'm going to read the report to go with this because I want when people run across this, I want them to understand this is what you get in Levy County. So, yeah, I'd never step foot. This, like I said last night, Levy County, no, Leave Me County, because my ass would be out of that place because I wouldn't be there. Because ultimately, how this stuff plays forward, sooner or later, somebody's going to get hurt really badly. And it's a frightening endeavor. It very much is. I mean, if people are allowed to just, pull firearms on you, pull firearms with kids in cars or whatever, pull them on tourists and more. And the prosecutor, according to Patty, all they're interested in is finding out about YouTube. I've got those emails too. The exchanges there, we can look at those as well. Those will be fun to go over. But yeah, so pull the weapon. Wes tries to calm him down. The little girl starts crying, and Patty notes that she was terrified. Now, then she notes this, too. And this is actually a real problem for all these any of these places. I want my name kept private as possible. I'm still scared about all of this. Now, they've been asked to redact items, and who knows what they do. Who knows? I wouldn't put a lot of faith in Levy County, though, especially considering this woman with this story that she told. And again, you should watch the interview from last night. Because when she talks about her experience, I mean, you got to see a lot of it. Like, that's the benefit of video. That's one of the things I've talked about with the litigation. There's actually been updates and pretty much, there's been updates with John Cook, this. You have updates with the thumbnail litigation with new filings. We still have got to those. And you also have, I think, more to add to the newest litigation. The stuff that we're going to call it the RV lawsuit, I think. So you have the thumbnail and the RV lawsuit. We could call it the RV rescue lawsuit, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, she's asked for privacy. This was her original statement to them. And they're saying, now the reason I bring this up, because let me pull this up here. As far as and we'll look at this exchange, but as far as going forward with this, the reason that they don't go forward with the litigation attached to it is because of the following, quote, "This letter is to inform you that the Office of the State Attorney will not be pursuing prosecution against the above-named defendant for the offense or offenses charged in the above-referenced case. Now, the decision is based upon the following." So listen to this. And you tell me, like, again, you heard her interview. This woman, what she did, she made contact with him. She made a complaint. She also, she was told that she would have to come there to follow up. They wanted her to look at, like, books or whatever, and she couldn't do this over Zoom, which seems to be a strategy to make you drop this, right? I mean, because the follow-up, she says, when she gets there, they're asking her all about YouTube and all this other nonsense, but there's nothing really noted about what transpired with all of it. No reason that she couldn't have done all of this over Zoom. So she ends up spending hundreds of dollars out of pocket, making sure that they understand that she wants to go forward with this. You know, and also, with them talking about Wes Dockery, regardless of what's in Wes's background or anything else, these people pulled up his background with the lawyer for these people present. How is that not witness intimidation? How is going in and doing all that shit, how is that not witness intimidation? You just telling me it's a fucking free-for-all? Is that how it goes? But again, it's Levy County, right? Levy County, fuck. Good luck getting justice there. That's how I feel. But anyway, upon review of the case and relevant case law, there's ultimately two reasons the state is unable to move forward with this. The first, the state cannot reasonably rely on the victims. They're talking about V1. They're talking about Wes here, because Wes is the only one that matters. The woman that went down there, spent all this money, giving statements and more, she means fuck all in this. That's what they're telling her. Like, you think about that. You're in a car with other people. Somebody pulls a firearm on you, all of you, and apparently all of you only amount to victim one. The rest of you don't matter. You ever heard of that happening? Like all three of you? So they're saying, we can't rely on the victims. And she's got to be like, well, what about me? What about me in this? And they even tell her, apologies that you were a victim of a crime. But, I mean, it's in these email exchanges too. But their appearance and therefore cooperation at future court proceedings. So we would not have his testimony to present at a hearing or trial. The second reason, the defendant will likely raise a stand your ground or self-defense claim. Who gives a fuck? You know what? If they went out and they pursued that, and let's say there was some world where they lose, even though this guy admits to doing all this crazy shit. The police have it. Even if they lose, at least they tried. But of course they don't try. Of course they don't. Why would they, right? Why would they? Like I said, why would you ever go to this shithole of a place? I wouldn't. And again, I hate to say that because, like I said, with everything that's been discussed with people like Travis, with him trying to set up Tube Town and have a good time there, Jeremy Hale setting up a business, them actually talking about having, having huge get-togethers, having the whole town do something, something that would benefit the whole town. Why would I go there? Because I know if something happens that, again, with escalation, like what's going to happen? And God forbid I'd have to defend myself. God forbid, because I would imagine that then they would take action, But yeah, They won't protect an 8-year-old? They're going to protect a 10 and a 5-year-old if they came with me? Fuck no. Ultimately, they're saying it's up to you to protect yours. They let it escalate. So, stand your ground, though. And again, I'm going to look through some of these with you, but I want to read portions, not the whole complaint. We read that last night. We've read it before, too, but I want to be thorough, because I want to make this point here, okay? But given the facts and circumstances of this case, including statements given by the victim and the defendant, the claim is likely going to be successful. Okay, so you tell me, this is going to be their statement, and you're going to tell me that this shit is going to be successful. Because that's what Levy County is saying. The prosecutors there. And they've put people in jail before, again, for firearm-related charges. So it's not like this is their norm. They just decide what the norm is, I suppose. But the police report itself, again, I'm not going through the entire thing here, because there's a lot to it. But I do want to, essentially, and again, you can look this up on your own. We read it last night in detail, fully. I just want to point out certain things and how they change, because again, they're like, oh, well, he could bring up this defense, and dude lied to the police over and over again about this shit. They noted it. Like in the first discussion, he said, as it went on, he had, he advised as people were driving down the road, he heard someone scream. This is the victim, V1. He saw John Cook, the defendant, whom he recognized, YouTube videos. Again, he'd already shut off his camera. V1 said the defendant said something along the lines of, do whatever you want. He replied, what are you talking about? He explained that to the defendant, they was just looking at Tubetown. He was not from here. Again, that matches up with what she's saying. We're from Illinois. He replied with, you're going to lose anyway. Then they said that he told the defendant they were leaving, and he observed him pull a gun from his right pocket, point the gun right at them, which made him fear for his life. Now, off of that, you have Cook say, again, at first, he's asked about firearms. He's asked if he pulled a gun on someone. I did ask the defendant if he pulled out a gun out of his pocket when all of this supposedly happened because of his version, and he says that he didn't. No cameras around, by the way, so they can't capture the incident, right? So then there's a follow-up. Now, he's Mirandized after all this. So he's giving this clearly, knowing his rights. So he goes through and he says, that John Cook advised that he was over by the stereo system, observed a vehicle drive by, thought it was Hale's fan. He said it drove by, then returned. He ducked behind his shed. A car drove by. Driver stuck something out the window. Couldn't tell what it was, so he stayed hidden. Male yelled something. He couldn't be certain of what it was. I asked the defendant about the object. The person stuck out the window. He said, I don't know what it is. Gun, phone, I'm not sure. So this is where they're going to be like, stand your ground, okay? But the lies, all the lies. So he said he waited until the car left. He went back to what he was doing. He was asked if he owned a firearm, and he said, yeah. He was asked what kind of firearm he owned. He said, I got a 9mm. He asked what kind. He said it's a CZ. It was black. He was asked about owning a revolver. Now, this stuff is important as we go for it, right? He advised he got rid of it a few months ago. He said that he had sold it off. When he was asked who he sold it to, he said, I don't know. I have no idea who I sold it to. So, that's an admission of crime anyway. That should be a problem, too. Because selling guns to just random people, that doesn't fly. That doesn't fly at all. But again, of course, it's a lie. That's what they tell us themselves. So, then asked the defendant if he pulled a gun out of his pocket, pointed at a car. He advised he didn't. And then they say, well, we tried to get an accurate layout of how things happen. So then on 7/11, they come back with a search warrant. And when they do, again, they Mirandize. The defendant was asked if he pulled out a firearm on the vehicle. He again denies that he pulled out a gun. And he says, I didn't point a gun at the vehicle. The defendant was again asked about him owning only a 9mm and his cohabitant also owning a 9mm. Now, during the course of this investigation, detectives were interviewing witnesses on scene. Now, one witness said the defendant lied to law enforcement. Really? Witness said that on the date in question, Cook admitted that he did indeed brandish a firearm. But they said, he was fearful. But he didn't, so he's been lying this whole time. Not only that, but they advised that they hid the firearm that was used. So it was hidden. So they've not only been lying, but they obstructed justice. They lied this entire time. They're admitting this in the police report. So this is something that they're like, well, we can't make a case. Bullshit, man. And the witness there consents to law enforcement recovering the firearm. Now, when confronted with a witness statement, defendant claims, hey, I bought one of those. I bought a revolver 2 days ago from a friend. So, yeah, I sold that one off. but I got another one a couple days ago. That's what happened. Now, when he was asked about the friend's name, the defendant hesitated and then advised that it was just some guy. Just some dude out there, you know, because apparently that's the Levy County gun trade. It's just some guy. I mean, it's wild. The defendant was again asked if he had pointed at a person, and again denied pulling out a gun and pointing it at anyone. After several more minutes, the defendant was informed of the information obtained that the defendant did pull out a gun, a revolver, like the victim stated, and that the gun was recovered. So after it's recovered, the defendant advises, yeah, you know what? I do carry a revolver. I carry it with me at all times. So the story changes. The defendant, though, continues to deny that he pulled out the gun. But the police say the defendant finally admits, after some time, that on 7/3 that he did indeed pull that out of his pocket. But he didn't point it at him. Now, you tell me how that is not chargeable. You tell me how that's not going to hold up with stand your ground. All right, you know, oh man, he's going to say that. Stand your ground's going to hold it off. Bullshit. Now the emails here. Give me 1 minute here. Let me set this up. You actually have emails talking about the conversations that happen as far as this goes. So let's pull some of that up here. Man, what crazy stuff, man. Every day. Every day. By the way, let me hit these super chats real fast. Nikki, thanks for the month. Let's go. Thank you. Let's go indeed. Follow Nero, thanks for the super chat there. Thank you all the time too, my friend. Appreciate you. Joan, thanks for 3 months. Happy fall. I know it's fall. It's fall. It's fall for you all. Sandy, thanks for the gifted membership there. Thank you very much. Deanna, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships too. So Sandy and Deanna, thank you both. 6 gifted memberships raining down. Thank you. And Bonnie, thanks for the month there. To stop the clowns by not going to the Two Fleas Circus. Hey, that's on anyone else. So you watch whatever channels you want to or not want to watch. You know, I just don't have time for it in my life. I hear some summaries sometimes, and I'll bring that stuff up. Like, again, there's some nasty fucking people out there. And, of course, they cry a lot. Like I said, and I made this clear, like when old Sluggo said that he was going to dig into the kids and stuff. Oh, yeah, I'd spend an entire month dedicated to them. And they've been crying about it. There's talk saying he's going to dox. Oh, no. I said I'd spend an entire month dedicated to your dumbasses. That's what I said. And they kind of leave out the front. Because any rational person would be like, oh, you threatening to fuck with little kids? But again, I guess that's the norm with many of these people, right? Little kids, yeah. They like that. They like that. 8-year-olds getting pow-pows pulled on them. I mean, these people are out of fucking control, man. They just ramp it up. Why? Because they can put on a daily show. Woohoo! Because the clout dies with it. That's it. I mean, every time Jeremy starts to cover something, some other crazy piece of shit comes up. It's nuts. So this is what the lady has to say, though. I sat down and had time to reflect on our conversation yesterday, and I don't necessarily have questions. I do want my voice to be heard. It had to be clear in the audio from the officers that I was genuinely terrified after the traumatic experience I was involved in. My unwillingness to initially come forward because of fear was clear. And again, she made that very clear. I didn't want to deal with this stuff because I was afraid. I was afraid that you would not protect me or my identity. And you know what? Hey, that was made manifest, wasn't it? Because despite there being all of this stuff, she doesn't matter. That's a horrible fucked up message to send to people. My phone conversations with the police and your staff had to clearly show the fear I have. I'm hurt. I am hurt that you didn't reach out to me. I'm hurt that you talked so much about all the social media, more than I feel you talked about the man who pointed a weapon at innocent, unarmed humans. So, she said, and you can see this is in a letter to them, saying, you wanted to talk about social media. Are you doing this for social? Who gives a fuck if I talk about this on social media? Somebody pulls a gun on me, you damn well better believe that I'm going to defend myself by putting it out there to everybody and their mother, because what I've learned from Levy County is they will do fuck all to protect me. So of course I'd talk about it. Now this lady didn't though. This lady didn't have a YouTube channel. She didn't ask for anything. But they would be like, oh, you're involved in social media. I mean, like, social media. First of all, you have the right to exercise this little thing in the U.S. called free fucking speech. You can't take that away. Just because you want to make it something else because you're too fucking lazy to go through and actually do something about a crime, like you are supposed, that's your job. We pay you. You fucking work for us. These people work for you. Doesn't that not piss you off? Because ultimately, the only reason that they're there is to safeguard people. Innocent human beings. And also keep the unmentionable from happening. Because of escalation. That's the only reason they have jobs. If they're not doing that, then what good are they? They should be fucking sacking groceries at the Quickie Mart. Because I have more respect and love for those people at Quickie Mart or wherever. I love all of you people, for sure. I have more respect for you because you do a job. These people don't. So those folks, maybe they don't deserve to be there because they probably would make you do more work too. They should try some real work sometimes. I damn well can tell you if somebody pulled a firearm on one of them, they would go forward with it. They'd be like that. There would be charges just like that. They would put that person under the jail. But when it comes to these folks, it doesn't matter. It's just disgusting to me. Grosses me out. What's up, George, by the way? Thanks for the 2. Is there anything to reverse this BS action? I have the feeling they'll never do anything there. I mean, just honestly there. It's Tig Pay. Thanks for the 10. Here's something for a new hairdryer from Megan. Here, I'll text her right now. I'll be like, hey, check this out. I'm gonna text her right now. Check this out. I'm gonna be like, here, I'm typing out like, hey, Megan, someone super chatted me. Whoops, super chatted me $10 for a new hairdryer for you. So I'm totally getting extensions with it. Okay, well, there, see it. Watch her, she's probably in the chat. Hey Rick, how's it going? How's the comic going? It's good. It's in delivery. Now you got to understand this too. Let me just note this real fast, okay? The people now, they're growing, they're bigger, but Critical Blast, they're like a 2-person operation, and they're asked to deliver about 5,000 or 6,000 items, package them correctly. So they're going through each tier and delivering. You can see it on the on social media. You can see it on the product page. All of that, it's all in delivery, but it works at that speed. And thank you too. I mean that, you know, I thank people for patience and everything. There've been a lot of crazy in my regular life, like you heard about the other day. So it's slowed down things substantially, but we are in delivery. I don't control delivery. I got somebody that is delivered, 30 or 40 different independents, and they're doing it. So it's done and it's delivering. And thank you. 1 second here. Also, MM, thanks for the 5 there. The victims of Levy County need to come together and sue them for not protecting them, not doing their job. Yeah, you know, it'll do nothing. Like, honestly, like suing them, complain. I mean, it's just, it's that buddy-buddy system. Ultimately, they circle the wagons. You saw the circling in the wagons. If you don't believe that, you remember that little thing we talked about where somebody recorded in a tanning salon? A prosecutor, like recording an innocent victim in a tanning salon. Remember how that went? And it's dead to rights, right? You have prosecutors. You have that office come forward with a bunch of people. You have people that will be judges in the future, all coming forward and being like, oh, well, you know, lost his license for a few weeks. That's punishment enough. Really? Because I think they'd bury you or I if anything remote. And with good reason. That's messed up. But these are the people, again, their job is to protect victims. Huh. But, continuing there. I'm hurt that you were so focused on the hype from social media that you made me, as a single mother on a limited income, spend money I didn't have to fly down and rent a car, just sit in your office less than an hour and talk. You made me point at no pictures. You didn't go through any papers. Our conversation could have easily been done via Zoom, as there was absolutely nothing done other than talking. So again, she was told, you're going to have to come down here, you're going to have to look at pictures, you're going to have to go through paperwork. None of that happened. None of that happened whatsoever, according to her. He's saying, oh, all you did really is talk about social media. You really need to treat this case for what it is. I knew nothing about any of these people before July 3rd, 2024. I still don't really know much about them. And even if she did, does that matter? Is that really, at the end of the day? You know, she's being, what it sounds like is these people are being put on trial for being the victims of crime. Is that how it's supposed to be? You tell me. Is a victim of a crime supposed to be put on trial and asked about 1 million questions about how somehow, in some way, they deserve to be victims of a crime? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Oh, did you know about the social media? Did you deserve this kind of stuff? Fucking clowns, man. Nobody deserves that. I knew nothing about any of these people before July 3rd, 2024. I still don't know much about them. I was an innocent human, minding my own business, when a man I'd never seen before pulled out his weapon and pointed it in my direction, making me and 2 others fear for our lives. Social media and hype aside, he did wrong, and it significantly traumatized me. You wrote down about my family's social media. So, one of her family members has a fishing lure business. A fishing lure business. Not her. A family member does. And apparently, they wrote down about that. So, well, you're going to investigate their families too? That's really fucked up. Sounds like they did more due diligence about investigating victims than they actually did about investigating the person with a violent history. They said so themselves when they had their hearing. They talked about that. We saw it. But it didn't matter. You wrote down my family's social media, and I pray you watch it all so you can see I want nothing to do with my name being made out or YouTube popularity. I've insisted from day one to stay as private as possible. I was so scared to come forward that my dad flew down just to be by my side. I fell victim to that man who pointed his weapon at me. And I feel victimized by your office because you're more focused on social media agenda than his assault. This should pressure them. They should have felt pressure to do something about it because of this, but they don't. They don't, because they know, absolutely. Like, if you worked at any other business, it's amazing. You can be a fucking clown in government. Government is the worst jobs ever. None of these people do anything for us. They just argue back and forth when it's election time, and that's that. If the other person gets in, they spend all their time trying to wreck the other person, but they don't actually spend their time doing their jobs. That's pretty much government jobs in a nutshell, most of them. Now, I'm not talking about postal workers and stuff like that. I'm talking about people that run for office. That's all they do. But they do have a job. And it's like they don't give a fuck. You know? You have to question why they don't give a fuck. That's where it comes up. And like Megan said yesterday, it feels like ultimately what started all of this? A discussion about corruption. Maybe they're hoping that guy one day will actually leave their county, so they don't have to talk about it anymore. You know? No more discussion about it. Rhea Raya, these are the 5. Here's for some more pizza rolls for the girls to burn. Oh, I got to show you that in a minute. Oh, my God. That's crazy. And Debbie, thanks for that $10 super sticker. I can see it right now. I wanted to thank you while I could still see it. Those are cool. Thank you. But she says on here, too, I should not be paying for it, talking about, again, this social media agenda that they have. Mentally, emotionally, and financially. Thanks, again, Patty. Now, I'm going to pull up another one. I'm going to show you something real fast before I do that, though. This is totally, it's not really on subject, but I got to show you this because of that super chat. You do need to see this, okay? So my kids decided yesterday they were going to make me some pizza rolls. Sounds great, right? So, you know, they're always like, Dad, why don't you let us cook on our own? These are my pizza rolls. I was like, what are these little pieces of coal? What is this? What's happened? Oh my God. Look at that. Look at them. They look like little pieces of charcoal. Those are pizza bites. Like, I ain't biting that. I mean, they look like little pieces of coal just waiting around. Look at that container. I was like, good Lord, children. I went up there to see what they were microwaving. I was like, what in the world is that? Oh, my Lord. They're hilarious, though. They tried. They tried. Oh, man. I was just like, well, you made some charcoal for the next cookout. So there's more. Now, as this goes forward, let me pull this up here. Well, this was from Megan's notations. You know, she put no response was given from Levy County to that email. Nothing at all. Didn't get one there. Patty had a phone conversation about charges being dropped with. These are emails, so you can see the discussions here with the victim's advocate. She asked, I don't understand why West Dockery has anything to do with my claim. And that's a good question, actually. You know, okay, you clearly have a witness. You clearly have somebody substantiating it, but you won't press charges based on that, even though they are one of the people. And this also made local media, remember. This actually made the media and everything. They just don't give a fuck. You think that would pressure them? No. People have said, oh, if this stuff ends up in media, then no. They don't care. Local media, I mean, I'm not saying local media didn't care. Local media did cover. But the people you'd think that would pressure, they didn't. I spent several $100s to fly back down there and sit in that meeting. You saw me crying and how physically shaken I was. So again, she's noting, and these are communications going back and forth, noting that again, I was visibly shaken by this entire ordeal. And there's another. I know it's because of West Dockery. I understand that, but my heart is hurting and I'm so scared. I will literally be there at the end of next month. I couldn't continue to listen with as much anxiety as it was giving me. So you have the communication, you know. Back, again, the communications with this are because of, she ended up hanging up. And the reason that she ended up hanging up is because they're telling her, again, that this, well, we're not going to go forward because, again, you saw the two reasons there. She told, the decision was based on more than just stand your ground. Miss G wanted to explain the other reason to you before you hung up, and also explain in detail why she felt stand your ground may be an issue with your case. Again, they just wanted to give you, you know, excuses. So, she was like, stand your ground for what? You know? How to stand your ground? Because this is not, like, stand your ground, really? Like, that's the game you're going to play? Stand your ground for what? He yelled at us. We stopped because we thought something was wrong. He said, you know? Again, if you're driving along, somebody starts screaming and yelling, are you never supposed to stop and see what the heck is happening? So you're telling me that in Florida, the law is that I can do pretty much anything and say it's stand your ground? That's not. Let me answer that own question. You know, my own question there. No, that is not. That is not how stand your ground is supposed to work. But she says, we stopped because, again, we thought something was wrong. He pulled his weapon out and pointed it directly at us. He lied to you guys multiple times in his report. And again, you see that clearly stated. Like that should, they went so far as to hide the evidence. He would have continued lying if he hadn't been ratted out. He would have just continued to lie about it. But instead, he ends up getting ratted out. The gun gets turned over. Then he tells the truth, sort of. Because he says, I pulled out a firearm he wasn't supposed to have. Excuse me, I took a bite of food. I was tempted. I was tempted by some spaghetti and ate some of it. You really try like temptation. Have a like food sit down in front of you that looks really good while you're live streaming and be like, I shall not participate in that. It's like, no, I will. I can't help it. But we had no weapons. We had no desire to interact with him. There was no claim that they had weapons in the car. The police, I mean, you know, they clearly had body cam footage looking into the vehicle. They clearly could have seen whether or not they had a weapon on them. They didn't have anything on them. But they're put on show trial. I've never heard of these people before that day, and you're allowing them to assault people. Like that's actually a great commentary on this too. Like again, is living in Otter Creek, living in Levy County, are you just basically beholden to whatever certain people want to do to you? Is that how it works? Is that how all this stuff is supposedly supposed to play out? Because you know that that's not how it's supposed to go. If it was supposed to go that way, they wouldn't have brought charges in the first place. But they did. They did, and he set for weeks. But then suddenly, they were like, hey, I mean, you think about this chain too. Suddenly they let him out, and they say, you know what, he's not a danger here. He's out on his own recognizance. Remember, as part of that, they're saying that he is not a danger. So they're already making that kind of statement when they let him out. That, like we talked about before, that was a huge, glaring red flag. You know, when somebody, again, if you do something like this, they're like, you're not a danger to other people. Really, this is the epitome of dangerous to other people. I mean, there's only... What did he have to do again in this situation? Did he have to fire it? Even then, what would have happened? Denials, and then they would have done nothing? What would he had to have done? I hate to answer that question because I really have an idea of how far it would have had to go. And even then, I wonder if anything would have happened. Even then, would it have been, he was just standing his ground. He was afraid because a person rolled down their window. Oh my God. But she says, and you should, this is the worst part of this here. She says, my full name better never be released from that office. And she says this, and this is terrible. Because again, remember, all of these people, when they run on a pro-victim platform. They say that they're out there representing people that are harmed in situations. Whether, again, there's harm done. There may not be physical, like you may have not had a discharge of firearm, but there's definitely harm done in this situation. She's like, you know what? I should have known better than to come forward. You should never feel like that. That's how, honestly, though, that's how all these places. I mean, to be honest, there are very few that won't make you feel like that. I just tell you. They're usually more worried about their stats. Or they're worried about something else. But for her to have to say that, for her to have to say, look, you better not let my name come out with this kind of stuff. You better make sure to protect me. Because she already feels like they failed her. 100%. Like, that's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. By the way, Patricia, thanks for the 20. The hater channels cannot come up with their own stuff. They only use others. You, Megan, DUI Guy, and others are amazing. I love watching all the channels. Thank you there. It's just, anybody can covering a case and thinking that another person is innocent of something, that's their prerogative. Anybody is allowed to look at a case and they're allowed to make their own decision based on what's there. Especially, I like having this right here. This just gives me more to say, this is what they ignored. This is what was ignored by Levy County. People can make up their own minds. No. They want to run ops. They want to fucking, they want to dox. They want to sue. I mean, they sit around and whine because they get hit by copyright strikes and stuff. And typically, like I said, I don't agree with hitting channels. I don't. As a channel myself, I don't agree with that. But you know what? Fuckers, when they want to do that to other people, they want to sue them, they want to try to economically damage people so they won't cover something. Fuck them. We have the right to talk about this stuff. We have a right not to agree with some shyster-ass lawyer and a bunch of freaking whatever. Nobodies. We have the right to disagree with that. We have the right to think that people are scumbags, that they're shysters. We have the right to think that. They want to pretend that that somehow isn't protected. Okay. But she says, I was so afraid, and now even more, because your office is allowing him to get away with it. Unbelievable. And it is. It's like, I was afraid before. And now I'm even more afraid. Because, yeah, there was talk about retrieval of weapons and how all that would go. So, yeah, I mean, all of this happens, and you get a timeout for a few weeks, and then it's right back to the same old bullshit. Nothing changes. I mean, imagine that. Imagine somebody pulls a gun on you. They get to walk. They get to reclaim their own firearms. Wouldn't that make you feel good? Wouldn't you feel safe? Wouldn't you feel safe if you have people that vexatiously come out after anybody that just talks about this stuff and makes threats, wouldn't you feel unsafe? Because I sure as fuck would. 100%. I also saw something fascinating. So they talk about Jeremy being this monster, about all the hours of coverage he has. So somebody actually went through and they looked at one of these hate channels versus Jeremy and how much time that he's spent covering. Talking about minutes spent making videos. And what's fascinating is in 2 months, they've already eclipsed him by something like 30% according to their reports. So, if they're claiming he's some kind of monster, what does that make them? What does that make them indeed? Now, here's the answer. And this really disturbs me. I read you the part about how they're going to release and stuff, but look at what's said here at the very beginning. This is the automated victim notification. Don't reply, but this is how it starts out for any victim that's told something like this. You're told, we're sorry that you were a victim of a crime. Oh, our bad, but we're not going to go forward with it. Imagine you getting that. They're admitting that you were a victim of a crime. They're saying, oh, sorry that that happened to you. Now, attached is important information regarding your case. You know, something that they won't tell you themselves because they're too fucking cowardly to actually really go over it, especially when somebody's angry about it. They send out automated replies. I mean, what a first sentence, too. Because they said, oops, sorry you were a victim of a crime. Attached is some important information regarding your case. The attachment is a PDF. Now it goes over again how that rolls in. And it was that document that we read. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild? So you have this dropped. And on top of it, I want to read you the other thing that was dropped as well, since we are being inclusive in this. The other thing that was dropped is as follows. Give me 1 second here. Pulling this up. Remember the inappropriate touch. This is how it lists. On 08/07/2024, this is the police report. I responded to redacted reference to report battery. Upon arrival, I made contact with redacted, who advised the defendant John Cook had touched the inner thigh of his girlfriend, redacted. Now, this report, you can tell who made that. Now, like I said, I find it absolutely disturbing that there was contact made by people after this report was filed. Because again, at what point is that interfering or intimidating? Like if you have people that are associated with this, people that are named in here, one of them saying that according to this, that they told people not to come forward and to actually make this report. At what point is that a problem? Because it sounds like a big fucking problem to me. Now, redacted stated that it occurred on the 4th of July, in the evening hours that they were in the vehicle. Now, redacted stated that he observed John place his right hand slightly above the knee of redacted and slowly drag his hand up her leg toward her. Redacted stated that he then sat between the two of them to prevent it from happening again. Now, redacted advised that they were asked not to report it by, redacted. Now, this will get, who could redacted be? Because of an ongoing civil issue between redacted, John Cook, and redacted. I wonder who are they alleging told them not to go forward with it? Because they're saying that John Cook wasn't the one that told them not to report it. Again, all those parties are named in this. So at what point does that become an issue when those people are people associated working for them? At what point does that become a problem? Because it sounds like a big fucking problem to me. Now, Redacted stated that they decided to report it to law enforcement because John will be released from Levy County Jail on Friday, 08/09/2024, and they were in fear of him. So they're reporting fear, and they're reporting it again. They talked about this, they like to play this off like it was some kind of game, like it was some kind of con, even though they reported it to police them. So if it's some kind of Jeremy Hales, like they tried to play it off, isn't that filing false police reports? Which one is it? Was it real? If it wasn't real, then what exactly was it? Either way, very, very sketchy, right? So I spoke with Redacted, who advised that in the evening hours of, again, the 4th of July, she was in the vehicle with John, Redacted, and a mutual friend. Now, Redacted here states that they were in the vehicle before coming back from Cedar Key, Florida, after watching fireworks. Redacted advised that they were leaving, and as they were leaving, John placed his hand on her leg, just above the knee, and began to pull his hand upward toward her. Redacted stated that John did not come in contact with said but became close. Now, Redacted advised that she was uncomfortable with the inappropriate touching. She did not give John permission to do so. Redacted also advised that she had never been in any type of relations with John, never had relations with him. Redacted stated that another person, Redacted, observed this, sat between them to prevent it from happening again. Redacted stated that John was in the front seat of the vehicle, that he was the driver. Redacted advised that she was asked by, who's this Redacted again? She was asked by someone to not report it due to ongoing civil issue that her and John have with Redacted. Again, this is a police report. Redacted advised that she was in fear of John and chose to report it now because John will potentially get out of jail or be getting out of Levy County jail on 08/09. I then spoke with Redacted, who advised that he observed John touch Redacted and corroborated the statements of both Redacted and Redacted. So then they charged him with battery, touch, or strike. Now, these people are celebrating this being removed. They're out there applauding this. And I find that really disturbing. We've seen video of a firearm. We've seen video. We know some of the stuff that's transpired. But of course, that was Jeremy Hale, so it doesn't matter. So then we hear about it from multiple people. Those people, they don't matter because at least one of them had listened to the Hales before. So all of them right out the window. Then we hear about it from multiple people that resided on that property. But those people, they somehow don't matter either. Why? Well, reasons, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, there are people celebrating this. Like they won something. If this is your wins, man, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about life. I don't want to tell you about anything there because it's fucked up. Because again, somebody that they themselves say that they support, people that they say that they support, they made statements about this. They said that this transpired. But I guess they don't matter either. So I guess only a couple of people matter. Everyone else can fuck themselves no matter what happens, right? You know, they tell us we're supposed to believe how we're supposed to believe until. And it amazes me. It amazes me how much stuff just gets thrown out the fucking window. I mean, remember, Levy County, they didn't want to investigate what happened with Patty. They didn't want to investigate that at all. Why do I say that? Well, look at how long it took them to actually get together and to really treat it as something they would have to Mirandize, first of all. They went down, they talked to... So if you listen to the conversation about what happened that day, and you have multiple people that are telling you the same story. These people, they tell you once it was done, like when this event, when it was reported, the police told them to pull right over, right there where they could still be in danger. And they were like, no, we're going to go down to the gas station. We're going to pull down there because that's no way. That's not safe. There's no way we're just going to stop here. You want to be sitting ducks for this. And the police come out. They get mad. And you see this in the video, by the way. You can watch a video of it. They get mad because the person in the passenger seat, which is Patty, does not want to identify. Why? Because they're calling out this, they're reporting this stuff over radio. You know, and of course, as you know, people can just listen in on it. So what do? They end up running the car. They make allegations of wrongdoing right off the bat. Patty somehow in some way is involved in wrongdoing, even though that was 100% false. They turned on her just like that. They didn't try to calm her. They didn't try to do anything that the police should be doing when they're dealing with a victim. No, they treated them like they were perpetrators of some type of crime. And I feel like that has happened and it continued to happen along this. And it is absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up tonight. I did. That's what I wanted to bring up. Sue, by the way, thanks for the vibe tug. This is crazier than the Turtle Boy. I'm thinking, does Levy County understand witness intimidation is a real thing? I don't think they care. I mean, I think personally, again, Megan Fox said something that when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. What did all this start with? It started with this guy with hundreds of thousands of people that watch and listen to him talking about corruption. That was the discussion. Since then, you've had multiple other parties sit down and talk about the same thing. Talking about the corruption that they themselves have seen. Now, wouldn't it stand to reason? Now, some of those parties have already left Otter Creek. They're already out. Like Madam Mayor, she already left. She said, I don't want any more of this. I tried to fix this place. I don't want any more of that. So she left. But you know what's still standing? Jeremy Hills. What the hells? They're still standing there. Like I said, when I look at this, it really does. It makes me afraid for some people's safety. Because, I can sit here and I can laugh and talk about whatever. Tonight I was going to go over the video where, as part of the RV lawsuit, I was actually going to go over the video on Jeremy's channel with the other video, not from Madam Mayor's video that she took, but the other video that was there. But he has live streams tonight, so I went an hour early. He will have a live stream in about 45 minutes. It will probably be very interesting to listen to. So I would definitely tune into that. Monday, I'm going to cover that video that I talked about. I took Friday off, and then Megan, I was going to live stream yesterday. But Megan was like, you will never guess what has happened. I was like, what? You know, I'm just getting settled in. And I'd already heard about John Cook, you know, with that. It's like, you know the other person that was in the car? Yeah, apparently she went down to Levy County. She did all of this stuff. And now she's put in a predicament where she can either be silent about it and just let this horrible thing that happened to her go and check, because apparently nothing will happen to it, or she can talk about it. And she's been brave enough to talk about it. And props to her, because a lot of people were left thinking, all of this, you had Wes. If Wes wasn't part of it, then nothing. But that's not the case. They had somebody that talked about it. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she was reduced to a nobody. Like I said, I find that to be very disturbing. Because if it were you, if we're any of these fucking hate channels too, if they were riding along in a car, there were 3 of them in a car, and somebody were to pull a pew-pew on them, they would all demand justice. And if they were told that because the driver, they reported something, and then the driver, for whatever reason, their voice, if they couldn't count on their voice being heard, then all of them didn't matter. They'd have a real problem with that. But because it's this, they applaud it. They pretend that this is not some kind of miscarriage of justice. And it's wild. It's wild to see. Kurt, thanks for the 5 there. It started with 2-inch pipe and black mow preventer. Yes, indeed. And that's actually lost in a lot of this. We were talking about that the other night. We were actually discussing the fact that a lot of people don't know where this stuff started. They don't realize that it started with corruption in a county. And it snowballs. And then you have this factor here, that certain litigation tries to pretend it's some reality TV show, I guess. But really it's a distraction. And it's not that it's not real, but it distracts off of this thing that might expose something much, much worse. I'm not saying much worse in a singular. I can imagine this stuff being pointed at me like with Jeremy. That's as bad as it gets. But as far as corruption and impacting an entire area and what that might dig up, yeah. Huh. But of course, that's all something we're supposed to pretend doesn't exist, right? It's nuts. Suzanne, thanks for 20. Having JC back with access to rugs and drink and weapons is not safe for anyone, but especially Turbine George. Yes, it's sad is what it is. I mean, ultimately, it's infuriating, but it's also sad. And one of these hate channels they were like, the only people that talk about this right now that are larger besides Jeremy is, it's Megan and Tug. Yeah, you know why? Because these people make threats. They threaten all the time. They threaten to financially try to ruin people. They like to try to go in, and again, they make threats of doxing it more. And that scares a lot of people. The truth of the matter is, this is fucked up. Anybody with half a brain cell that looks at this can tell that this stuff is messed up. That there is something wrong here. And you were allowed, like I said, you were allowed to talk about things. You were allowed to have opinions about cases. You were allowed to look at something. And you were allowed to say, this is messed up. Because again, they didn't say, when you look at this, they're telling you they're not pursuing prosecution, while also telling you, whoops, sorry about you being a victim of a crime. So they're not saying no crime occurred. They're just telling you, prosecution. No, we're not going to prosecute that because we don't think we can win, and that's all that's all they give a fuck about. Again, best case scenario, Patty has been boiled down to a statistic. In the win-loss column, that'd be best case scenario. That's terrible. Worst case scenario, it's a lot worse. You know, and again, I'm not minimizing what happens to her there. I'm saying, why does it happen? And that's a lot worse. Puzzler, thanks for the 20 there. Social media is such a double-edged sword. It exposes things that are not covered by other media, but allows immediate public reactions that raise the pace and temperatures of a subject, no cool-off time, and escalates quickly. And that's indeed true, too, you know. That is indeed. You know, the thing is that it's added this... You'll notice that the scummiest fucking people I've ever seen in my life, so when I'm talking about like an Amber Heard or anyone, they have fucking supporters, too. You know, good God. So everybody gets sprayed. It doesn't matter how horrible or what happens. There's always somebody standing behind it and applauding it. So I fully expect that no matter what happens, there will always be applause for both. But what's really shitty about it, and you're allowed to do that. I'm allowed to think people are scumbags. They're allowed to support whoever the fuck they want to. But the problem is that with every one of these, they never stay with that. They always escalate. And the escalation is nasty. It is nasty business. Because they get to the point where they're not looking at a case. They've got to be right. And they want to be right no matter what. It doesn't matter who they have to dox or intimidate or threaten. And fuck all that. Fuck them for that. Lou, thanks for the gifted membership there. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Megan, what's up, Megan? How you doing? By the way, I told Megan, by the way, I had messaged her, like I said. I told her that she got that super chat for a hairdryer. I told her I was totally going to get extensions. And she was like, LOL. Make sure to get those extensions. But Megan, thanks for the 5 there. Hate channels claim John was exonerated. To be exonerated, you have to be convicted. Then have the conviction overturned. Well, you know, the value of words, right? I mean, these are the same people that don't understand what a gauntlet is. They thought a gauntlet, you know, running the gauntlet, they thought that was the same as a guillotine. So when you set up a gauntlet, yeah, I didn't know the difference. So of course, the value of their input, it means very little to me. Very, very little. The value of words, baby. I'm not saying you don't mess up something here or there. I mean, we all do, but my God, come on. Oh my God. And Chance, thanks for the 5. The water is not really a county thing because Otter Creek does their own water. They're looking at to tie a planning extension to Cedar Key. I think there's a discussion that should be had about all of that stuff. You know, again, right now, you think about this. How many lawsuits do we have going on? We have quite a few. How many threats of lawsuits do we have? We have quite a few more. It's all mass. It feels like weapons of mass distraction. Had to take a bite of that spaghetti. I'm sorry. Kurt, thanks for the 10. What about LC victim advocate that was married to a LC deputy in the courthouse, or Judge Grudge? Yeah, I mean, there's so many things there. When you look at them, you're like, what the fuck is going on in this place? And I can tell you what's going on. What's going on is something that, again, if this were to happen to, if this kind of stuff were to, again, be pointed at most people would see the injustice in it. They would see this being a giant problem. No. Now, like I said, Jeremy has a a live stream that's set up for 7 to 9. It's going to be a good one. You should definitely check it out. I've actually finally started seeing the advertise. I wasn't getting advertisement for it. So make sure you set up for it, because let me pull that up. I'm going to mention it because it's on this subject, you know. It's give me 1 minute. Stupid thing. Freaking YouTube, man. Some days are weird. Okay, here we go. It was being weird with me. I was going to pull up what the hell's. Make sure that you go and check this out for today, because they've got, again, they've noted, again, they were talking about having an interview. Well, here's your interview right here. She speaks out. His victim comes forward. She speaks out in Otter Creek, Florida. Huh. That'll be a fascinating one, right? There's been discussion of interview and stuff. Oh, my goodness. Like, again, I think it's important, too, because all these crazy people, they keep talking about, again, vexatious litigation and more, while telling you to cover the same damn thing. You can't have it both ways. You can't threaten people and then say, if you cover, you know, we're going to sue. We're totally not, but we are. And then also be like, yeah, I'm looking forward to coverage on that. It's a problem. They've asked for coverage. They should have it. So this will be a fascinating one. But anyway, I'm going to call it here. I think tonight, I think we're done. I think we'll have a good one tomorrow. But for tonight, I'm going to go eat spaghetti, and I'm going to watch, if you've not seen the show From, I'm going to go watch From Season 3, Episode 1 again. I'm catching somebody up on the show. I like that show. Horror, kind of sci-fi from the people who brought you Lost. I know some people hate the ending of Lost and stuff. I hate the last episode. I like to fast forward through half of it, and only catch what happens on the island. But I still like the show. And I like From. So I'm going to watch it tonight. And yeah, I'm going to end it here. But I appreciate you folks. We're getting back to everything. Yeah, we'll see you.